All right, good morning. I want to talk about our next section in business, and that is going to be ethics. And so, in our legal system, ethics is one of those things that is misunderstood. It's misunderstood because we think, oh, well, we have ethics, but what does that mean? Well, let's see if we can find some definitions of ethics as we begin. I'm going to begin the presentation. I will download this to you so that you can have it. I'm expecting you to take some notes as we go along. So if you need to stop the video now, get you a piece of paper, kind of create some Cornell notes out of it, or if you want to open this in part of a screen and open it up into a maybe either a Google Docs or a Google Sheet and create your notes out of that. The good thing is you can start and stop it, take some notes along, make certain that you complete the notes, turn them into me, because of course that will be part of our grade. And the whole goal is here: can you take notes and be attentive when it comes to this distance learning? So let's begin at ethics. The role of ethics in legal system in our private enterprise. First of all, ethics means doing the right things. And it doesn't mean just doing what you think is right. It means doing the right things all the time. So people say, well, I'm ethical, and we're going to put some of those situations out here a little bit later on to see if you really are or not. But let's begin by looking at what does it mean for a business. So first screen up here, the duty of a business to contribute to the well-being of a community. Every business should have a responsibility to take care of, to do. Right this minute, I found it wonderful that a number of our businesses are only letting senior adults in for the first hour of being open so that they can get the needed things and not face the crowds of others, since they're more susceptible to this virus. That is being socially responsible. They're caring about those who are in the higher need category and higher risk category. That is being ethically, socially responsible. But let's look at some of the other ways. We can look right down in here. I'll use my pointer as you can see it. Using up our natural resources. Are we really being cautious with the amount of gas and water and helium? Helium's going to run out before too long. So, how will we talk funny and have all the party balloons? As a business, we need to look at that. What about pollution? As I'm creating things, as I'm building things, am I washing that out into the rivers and streams and polluting them? That is environmental protection. And we've got workplace diversity, job safety, employee wellness, and all that. So we're going to look at those. So let's look at the benefits here of being socially responsible. The first is we're going to expand our groups of justice. What is right and wrong? If a business is choosing right decisions, then the employees will see and begin to do that too. Now, if a business takes the time to care for the elderly, let's use that illustration again. If they take the time to say, I'm sorry, only the elderly can come in to the business right now so they can get what they need at the first of the morning, what is your attitude towards them now? Don't you stop and say, hey, that's a company who cares, and that's a company I want to do things with. One of the things you'll find is as companies show they are responsible, then people see that, are willing to pay more money because I would rather give money to a company that cares about people than someone who's just after the dollar. Now, we know that profit is our big motivation, but you've got to have people with that. And if you show you like people, that's going to enhance our image there. If that's happening, then we don't need as much government. We don't need to be watching the spotted owl, because the people who are in those areas are watching out for that. it's also going farther and saying providing a quality of life for everyone, not just the dollar. And in some cases, the business is helping provide some social awareness. Here's some things they're concerned about, and so they want you to be concerned about them, or at least see that, hey, there's a problem there. What are some disadvantages? Well, honestly, it takes a little more money. For us to put in those smoke scrubbers, which is a requirement now, in the smokestacks of people who, of businesses who burn things, to put those smoke scrubbers that take a lot of that uh, material out of the smoke streaming up, that's expensive. It's a requirement, but it's expensive. And so by doing that, it does cost the business more, and they're going to transfer that to us, the consumer. And so there are some disadvantages. It is going to make things a little more expensive, more inconvenient. I'm thinking, and this one I think is kind of silly, but I know like NASA couldn't take off for a while down at Cape Canaveral because there were some particular bird that was mating on their property, and their property is huge, but they didn't want to disrupt the mating habits of that particular bird. And so they held things off. Well, if businesses have to constantly stop and do, it does cost them money. So we want to be cautious of that about that, but we also want to recognize that it does happen. All right, here's let's skip that one. We're going to come back to that. Hang on, let me slip through some slides here, and I will post a little project up for you. Let's see if I can. Okay, so here's some terms you're going to know. Put them in your notes, and that way you've got them there. I won't have you turn in the definitions because in this case you could just easily cut and paste, but I do want them in your notes. So the first is ethics, principle of morality, of rules and conduct, how we do things. The second is business ethics, which is rules about how businesses and their employees ought to behave. And notice it says here, their employees. If a business has set up some ethical standards and an employee does not live up to those ethical standards, then they can be fired. And so we need to stop and think about that, especially as we're looking for jobs. We want to find jobs, businesses that have jobs that are similar to our own ethics, or at least have those ethics that we wouldn't go against. An illustration. Me, you know that I am a very conservative Christian, and so I have very straightforward feelings about abortion. And so if I went to work for a company that was very pro-abortion, and they were giving funds and things like that to it, and they were even going and volunteering and helping and all that, I couldn't do that. My ethics would not fit with their ethics. And so therefore, I couldn't help out. They're going to fire me anyway because of that, because I would be vocal about it. And so I need to be finding a job that would fit more with my ethics. If that's what they believe in, I shouldn't be working there. The same is true with me. If this is what I believe in, I shouldn't be finding a job. I don't care how good you think they are. They're not going to be good when it comes to your values, right? Our code of ethics in a business is those set of rules. They're written down. You're going to be able to find them. In fact, I'm going to send you out. One of the jobs you're going to do is you're going to get out and find some of those business ethics on a couple of businesses. So that's the set of rules that guide their employees and how they operate. So code of ethics is going to be real important. Every company, especially every large company, on their website is going to have their code of ethics. So as you're looking for a job, that's one of those things you want to look at. Does their code of ethics fit with who you are? All right? So terms, again, you need to know. We'll get through these real quick. Punch them. And for some odd reason, I am now in a loop. Okay. I'm going to put up an assignment for you because apparently that's as far as the slides are going to let me go. Well, maybe not. Here we go. There we go. I figured out how to get around it. All right. So we're going to look at some conduct. How do we determine if it's ethical? First of all, is the action we're doing legal? Now, the good thing about being in a capitalistic society is if someone will pay for it, I can do it. However, there are things that people will pay for that you still ethically shouldn't do. Let's use the illustration of being an assassin. Now, I know that there are plenty of people who you think, man, I'd like to get rid of them. I could just kill them. And you could find somebody who would do that. There might be a business that would be set up to do that, but is it legal? The answer is no. It's not legal. So is it ethical? No. If the law says that you cannot do that, then you should not be doing that. And so that's legal action. That's one way to tell. Is our guidelines ethical? And that is, do they fit with the laws? And the answer would be no if you're trying to find an assassin. All right? So I've got legal equals illegal equals unethical. Okay? Let's go on. Does the action validate professional or company standards? So what that means is if whatever we're doing goes against our profession, what our professional standards or our business standards are, that is a conduct violation, an ethical conduct violation. Years ago, I was for a construction company doing their accounting. And in the process, I went to work for actually a younger man, and his father also had a construction company. They realized that I could do the accounting, it wasn't a problem, and so they decided to put the two offices together, and I would do all the accounting for both companies. And I said that was fine. They offered me more money because they would double my work and all that. I was like, okay, great. Well, when I sat down with the father who had his own company, we started talking about how things operated and what he did and what his accounting looked like. And I came across something and I said, that is not legal. You can't do that. And he said, oh, my girlfriend's been doing my books for years and she's been doing it and it's fine. And I said, well, you may think it's fine, but it's illegal. I can't do it. Well, no, you're going to do it because I'm paying you and this is the way I want you to do it. And I looked at him and said, first of all, you are not going to make me do something that is unethical in my profession. And what he was violating was some accounting principles. And even though he wanted me to, I refused to do it, and therefore I quit. Because you know who the first person they come after if the accounting wasn't right? The accountant, not the owner. They go after the accountant who was doing it because he should have known better. So, does it violate our professional standards, our company standards? What would that look like if you were building a building and the architect, they came to him and says, here's the way we want you to do something. And the architect looked at it and said, okay, that doesn't fit with our guidelines of load and structure and all that. I think it'll be a problem, but I do it anyway. That is an ethical conduct violation. And so we need to stop and see that we can't do those things, right? We also need to stop and think, who is affected by our stuff, by what we're doing, and how are we affected? How am I affecting other people? Well, I'd be killing people if I was that architect. If something happened, and I would be lying to the IRS, which I'm not going to do. Is there a conflict of interest? This is one of those things, especially in business, we see it often, the politics, and they hear inside trader, and so they buy a particular stock. It's a conflict of interest if you know what is happening and no one else does, and you buy stock. And that's the reason why there are laws and things in there to protect by the SEC to protect you and I from that insider trading. So if what I do is a conflict of interest, if a judge is going to be the judge over a case that their child is coming to court with, then that would be a conflict of interest. All right? All right. And you can see it's an unfair benefit. Some of the different things, just some common things. Hardware and software issues. Are they ethical? If I have a device that's snooping on another, is that ethical? What about if I use my personal devices during work hours? Now, I get this one all the time. And the answer is yes. You can look back and periodically see me on my phone. Sometimes I'm checking emails on it. Sometimes I'm checking dates and updates and things like that. And then honestly, sometimes I'm on Facebook, and I admit it. Is it ethical? Well, the answer is, well, it really shouldn't be. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be on it. However, I don't have a set. I mean, I'm in class. You guys are working. My work is done. I'm waiting for you. But I've done so much work outside of class. They pay me for the 8 hours I'm there, though I put in 10 or more hours a day. So 2 hours that I'm technically not paid for. And so I don't worry too much about that. However, if it's interrupting my business, if I'm on it instead of it, you have a question and you can't answer it because I'm too busy playing on my phone, that's a problem. So we need to be watching. Are we using electronic devices on the job that are not, no one's paying you to answer your phone or play on video game while you're at work. And so that's really what it's about. Equipment removal. So imagine that I decided to take that big screen TV that's in our room, that place that we used to meet. If I decide, I'm going to take that, there's a big football game on, it's a bit bigger TV and better TV than what I have, and so I take it off the wall and take it home, is that ethical? The answer is no. It is not mine to remove. Now, if I contact the principal and say, hey, here's what I'm doing, I'll bring it back, and they trust me, that's different. I've gotten approval. But if not, can't do it. All right? When it comes to how we relate to others and whether they be employees or not, how we treat our customers, we ought to be treating them with respect, even if they're being unrespectful. I have great admiration and respect for the ladies and gentlemen at the ticket counters with airlines, because I have been there when everything else is falling apart. There's delays and there's nothing you can do about it. And so they have to put up with a lot, and they have to treat the people with respect, even though they want to say, shut up, go sit down, there's nothing I can do, but they have to be polite. So how you treat your customers with respect. Do you finish things on a timely manner? Now, some of you need to stop and think about the ethics of that, because if you can't put things timely now, how on earth will you do it in the future? School's about setting examples. I'm one of these. I am up front. I try to get stuff done immediately. I've already been on a survey this morning that Miss Coleman sent out. As soon as it came out, I started the survey. I sent her a message. Hey, there's a problem in the survey. Why? I'm trying to complete it immediately. Timeliness is an important thing. So if it has a time frame when it's due then. And that's something you need to learn, right? Do we resolve issues professionally? Now, I don't think going out with a gun, two of you going out with a gun and shooting each other is a professional manner to solve issues. Neither is hollering and screaming and fighting and all those things. It's finding a way to resolve issues with coworkers when you're disagreeing. with customers, the ethical thing to do is solve it professionally. The last thing on that is one it's a huge deal, and that's sexual harassment. There are plenty, when you go to work for someone, you sign this understanding this is what sexual harassment is, and it's becoming more and more difficult to monitor. So, is it an environment people want to work in? All right, we're talking about environment. Report misuse of our company property. So if you see something, if you saw me taking the TV out, you definitely want me to, you definitely want to report it to the principal, because that wouldn't be correct. That would be taking the property. Now, by reporting it, the principal may say, hey, I've already done that. I've already given them approval. That's fine, but you did the right thing. That securing proprietary information, that's back there. And hey, we're going to use this song in this ad. Did you contact the people who wrote the song and performed it and get permission to use it? That's that securing the right proprietary information. All right. We've got business ethics for nonprofits and also things like our Better Business Bureau. And so that ethics falls in other places too. All right. Just some other examples: Facebook at work, taking home business supplies. Well, I admit I didn't take a whole lot of supplies home when I came home, but my little white board, it's behind me right this moment. It's out of my office or out of my schoolroom, but I've used it. So, and you probably have seen that. Of course, long distance phone calls. We really don't have long distance anymore, but there used to be people who would get on a phone, like my business, Flower Shop, where we called long distance all the time, and you made your own personal long distance calls. That would be stealing from it. The sharing proprietary information. How many of you have seen that little dog, the little fuzzy dog, and our long-haired dog with the baked beans commercial? And he's always trying to give away the recipe to the baked beans. That's proprietary. It's like sharing the recipe for Coca-Cola. That's illegal. You can't do that. Okay? And when you see something and don't report it, that's also unethical. Right? All right. Let's see. I think that we're going to, we're going to stop there. And I'm going to put up a written assignment or an assignment for you. So look into Google Classroom. I will post this up in Google. And it won't be this particular exit ticket that I have up. I will give you a specific thing that I want you to do for ethics. All right? So we'll pick up this at a later date.